So thank you for joining this webinar today. My name is Bernhard Töttling. I work for easescreen in support department and also I'm also responsible for the trainings. And today, together with my colleague Jonathan van Klaveren, who is also in the chat, we will go through the web interface. If you have any questions again, you can ask them right away in the chat, and we will try to answer them immediately or during the presentation, during the webinar, or if not possible, we will answer them later on after the webinar, or also if you have at the end some questions or later on today some questions, you can also drop them at support@easescreen.com. You see that in the chat also already dropped a link to text.easescreen.com where you can get additional information and also later on the webinar as recording and also the presentation itself. Okay, so let's get started. A bit more information about our webinar series we are doing currently. We have different types of webinars. We have the sales webinar, we have the technique webinar, which we are doing today, for example. We have the concept webinar, where we will talk you through how to set up, how to design a signage system, how to plan the content concept, and there's also webinars for the single applications, a bit more basic, a bit more for the end user. Today, this technique webinar is a bit more into depth, so we will talk about background information also, and will be more theoretically than the application webinars. So those are the four webinars those are the four types of webinars we will offer in our series. We already have the HTML5, the management server webinar. Today we have, as I said, the web interface webinar, and tomorrow we will go for the eSign server. Hopefully you will also join tomorrow and take a look also at the eSign system. So what will be the agenda for today's webinar? We will go through some intro, like we're doing it now. We will also talk a bit about easescreen as a company and this product. Then we will go through the basics of the web interface. We will make a short overview about the system. So you will learn the background information on the web interface, what's required, how it integrates in the whole system, and then also go through the configuration, which is what is needed if you use the web interface as service. We will go through content management possibilities, talk about management functions in the web interface. So what is possible regarding content management, what is possible regarding content reporting, for example, and in the finish, we will have our discussions and question and answer. If you don't drop the questions right now into the chat to Jona or me, you will have the possibility at the end to have an open discussion. So I will unmute your microphones at the end so that we can have a chat about the web interface. Will take roughly about 45 to 50 minutes. Depending on question and how deep we dive into the web interface, but that's a rough estimate about the duration this webinar will take. Okay, so a bit about easescreen. About easescreen, we're working as digital signage manufacturer since 1999, and we're based in Graz, and we have also a sales office in Vienna. So if you're from Czech Republic or Slovakia, you will probably get in contact also with our sales office from in Vienna, because it's simply easier or more convenient to go to Vienna than to go to Graz. Yeah, we're selling our software through our partners through our partners, through our integrators, and all the software is developed in-house in Graz. So this is where our roots are, and what our goal is to deliver an end-to-end digital signage solution. So going from designing the content to managing the content, we will cover all these topics, for example, in the web interface. So you can design the content, you can create templates in there, you can schedule those templates, you can distribute those templates with the web interface to the management server, and then from the management server to all the POV clients, and also management, so checking the reports on what's going on with the clients, what's happening on the clients, also managing the clients. There was already a question regarding management server facial analytics. This does not meet the topics today. Mr. Balla, we will send you more information regarding person detection, facial or audience measurement. We have a solution together with Vividi in this case, but we're also working on another solution regarding regarding audience measurement. More deeper solution than just Vividi. Yeah. So let's continue with the web interface. The web interface is, as I said, an overall tool. You can create their content, you can create their templates, campaigns. Templates, for example, are designable layouts, or adaptable layouts. You can create those templates, and later on, single users can modify parts of them. Campaigns are playlists of content, so you can add multiple contents to a single playlist, and this can be also dynamically this playlist, so it can be automatically filled through tags. We come to that point also later. All this content you create, you can later on publish. There is also an approval process in publish, so you can have two persons be responsible for the publish process. One is adding the content, and another one is approving it to be published to the actual clients out there. So this is what is possible through publish. You can define rules, like you maybe have seen it yesterday in the management server webinar. With the booking tool, you can also do similar things with the web interface. So you can define groups, you can select groups to which this content should be sent. We will also take a look at that. I have prepared a web interface for that. Therefore, we will be just doing a bit in the theoretical stuff, and then we will jump directly into the user interface to see it in more detail and to try things out actually. Yeah. And you can also manage your system. As I said, you can manage POV clients, the properties of POV clients, like, for example, inventory properties. You can add pictures to POV clients. You can have a map of all your POV clients. You can have a detailed map of single locations. You will see that in a moment. And you can also manage user rights with a lot of different user right possibilities. You have two user rights split up in two main parts: the privileges and the user groups. The privileges are restricting the functions, and user groups are restricting where you can use those functions. So you can be administrator for just a small part of the whole network. This is possible through the web interface. Yeah, and analyze the system, monitor POV clients, and also do a playback reporting, analyze what has been played out there in the network. So if we continue, make a small comparison from the web of the web interface and the screen manager. For those of you who know already the screen manager, maybe the web interface needs only a web browser, so you don't need to install an application somewhere. You just start your web browser, log into the easescreen cloud or your on-premise web interface, and then you can do all the normal content, all the normal signage, content management stuff through your web browser. The user interface itself, which you will see in a few moments, is very adaptive, so it can adapt to your corporate design of your customer. You can do that yourself by selecting the colors, selecting logos, but this could also go quite far in terms of you can add, or we can add for you your custom CSS files to the web interface. So every part, every color you see, every font you see could be changed to adapt to the design you want. Not only the design of the user interface can adapt, also the workflows can adapt. So there are the possibilities of enabling and disabling different function modules. Also, the functions you see depend also not only on the modules, also on your user rights. So if you, for example, don't have the possibility or have the privilege to create templates, you won't see that button in the user interface. So the user interface gets slimmer, gets more lightweight, and you will be faster and your workflow will be more streamlined as you shrink down functions. And from that on, you have a faster content creation because your content workflow is streamlined. You have not that many possibilities like in the screen manager to create inside and stack elements together. You don't have that many elements. You have more widgets and templates to work with. And the web interface also offers the possibility of more complex user rights management. For example, if you need approval processes, you can make them also somehow in the screen manager. In the web interface, it's just you create a privilege group, or you create two privilege groups, one with approval rights and one without, and then you have a two-person publish process. So you can really make sure that no content gets out to the clients with another person checking if the content is right. So that's the things the web interface does good. So it's adaptive in terms of design, in terms of workflow, in terms of user rights management. You can go from a simple project to a large company which has a small project with one client up to a large project with hundreds of clients with multiple persons involved in the content creation, in the publishing. This is all possible with the web interface as it's so adaptive. Screen Manager, on the other hand, does not require any server in the backend. You just install the Screen Manager application, you have the client application, they both connect together, and you can work without any big issues. But as soon as it gets more complex in terms of user rights or in terms of network, the Screen Manager has its limitations. You can extend it with the management server, which gets rid of some limitations, but it still is a Windows user interface with some certain limitations, which is not so adaptive as the web interface. You have a client-style content scheduling, are calendar-style content scheduling, like you know it maybe from Microsoft Outlook. So it's very familiar to a lot of people, where the web interface uses a more list-based and simply a different style to create the content schedule. And the Screen Manager is able to do more complex content stuff, like, for example, data sources with XML data and so on. This is directly possible in the Screen Manager, where on the other hand, on the web interface, you got your widgets to solve the same issues. So, for example, if you want to show weather information on the Screen Manager, you can design your own widgets with the data source event. On the web interface, you have your widgets pre-created. And also interactive content is possible in the Screen Manager, and the web interface it's a bit limited to create interactive content. And user rights management, it's really minimalistic on the Screen Manager. There is a user rights management, so you can allow people to connect with a username and password. You can add your Active Directory and so on, and you can limit it to layers or media pools if you have worked already with that. But the good thing is you can also combine those two interfaces. So if you have a more complex stuff, you can use the Screen Manager. If you have the daily stuff, you can use the web interface. So you can combine those two interfaces to get the most value out of both. So you really have the possibility to select the right tools for the work you have. Even if you have the web interface, you can still use the Screen Manager to connect to your clients and combine both systems through the layers, where one layer is, for example, for the Screen Manager and another is for the web interface. You will also see that in the Screen Manager. Let's continue. So how to get the web interface? There are three possibilities to get the web interface. Or to use the web interface. So there is the Software Assurance Plus. Software Assurance Plus is a service that we offer starting with X20 this month. So with Software Assurance Plus, you just buy your POV client with software assurance, like you know the software assurance already. So you get upgrades to always the latest version. But the plus is you can also apply for a web interface, which is included in the price of the Software Assurance Plus, or of the software assurance. So you pay the same similar price like before, but you get this on the web interface. The only thing is you need to apply for it. You need to send us a mail. Okay, I have Software Assurance Plus. I want the web interface for this license. Then we enable the web interface for you, and you can use the web interface as service for your POV client. Please, for more details regarding Software Assurance Plus, regarding the license agreements regarding Software Assurance Plus, contact your sales. I will have our internal sales for distributors, for integrators later on, so you can get this information. Otherwise, contact your sales. They will get, or they have already the information what Software Assurance Plus is. There are also some promotions to it. So there are currently some promotions going on where you get also discount on Software Assurance Plus. The other possibility is cloud service. With the cloud service, you will get the web interface in the cloud, but you will also have the possibility of a management server. So with just the Software Assurance Plus, you get no access to a management server. With cloud service, you need you will have a management server, and which could be on-site on-premise at your location, which is then connected to our cloud service. Or we can also host your dedicated management server, and then you will have everything in the cloud, the web interface, the management server, and you are then also allowed to use the management server's functionality, for example, to upgrade your client yourself, and to maybe combine those two user interfaces through the management server, or use pull functionality. So with the management server, with the cloud service, you will have everything in your hands. So if you stop with the cloud service, you will still have the management server, all the data in your hands. With Software Assurance Plus, you will only have the data on the POV clients and in the cloud service. And the last possibility, on-premise installation of the web interface. This is also possible. This will be decided depending on the project by our sales. So there is a lot of things to have before you can work or before you can get an on-premise web interface. You need certificates for your SSL encryption as an SMTP server for the mailing, an Apache web server, Google Maps API keys, HTML5 server for the preview. You need to have the easescreen Cloud Expert certification, which is a training we offer. This is a 2-day training where we really go into the depth of managing the easescreen web interface, which is not as simple as the management server or the screen manager or the eSign server. This is more complex. It offers also more possibilities than those other applications are. Like with the web service running with additional functionalities, reporting, and so on. So on-premises is the least common possibility to get the web interface. Probably most common Software Assurance Plus or the cloud service if you want to have the management server and if you want to have the management server also on site. Yeah, those are the 3 possibilities to get your hands on the web interface. How does this now connect to the system? So you already know maybe the management server and the POV client. So the management server talks to the POV client over our easescreen transport protocol connection. So the management server connects to the POV client, pushes the content there, or if you have reverted the connection direction, the off client pulls from the management server. If we go for Software Assurance Plus, where everything is in the cloud, we take care about the configuration for your POV client. We take care about the management server, which is working as background service where you don't have actually access to. So management server is the central distribution component in this game, and the management server connects to the web interface. The web interface itself can connect to multiple management servers. Therefore, we host only one web interface cloud, one easescreen cloud, one easescreen web interface, which connects to multiple customers' management servers, or to our Software Assurance Plus management servers, which are we using also for this Software Assurance Plus services. So there's also in this case a management server involved. So the connection between web interface and management server is normally the media FTP and the database connection. So port 18998 and port 3050. There are those 2 connections between the web interface and the management server for those 2 services to synchronize. The web interface itself is offering a web user interface, or the web interface server in the background is offering you to log in through your web browser, through a secured connection. Also, the web interface we host in the easescreen cloud is running in a highly available compute center in Austria. So we make sure that your data is in good hands if you decide to go for the cloud service. And this web interface is then available for you through HTTPS connection. Also, it does not matter if you have on your web interface connected HTML5 clients or Windows POV clients. It's for the web interface the same. The web interface handles both services, both systems the same. So you can have both possibilities. On-premise scenario, could we install management and HTML5 server and web interface at the same server for a small project? Yes, this is possible through technically possible, but to have the web interface on-premise, you need to fulfill the criteria for our on-premise installations with the special training, and also our sales department has some requirements as the installation, as the setup of the web interface is not that straightforward, that simple, and also the maintenance of the web interface requires a bit more than the maintenance of the management server or of other easescreen components. But technically, it's possible to have all components installed on the same machine, on-site, on-premise, and have all in the same. It's also what we have for customers here in Austria. We have packages where everything is installed on a PC we ship to our customers to test the whole system with the HTML5 server, with the POV client, with the web interface. So let's continue. What our main focus on the development of the web interface was to create an adaptive user interface for a more advanced user experience. So as I already said, there are multiple modules and there is a privilege system to adapt the whole thing to your workflow. There are 15 modules which we as system administrators, as super administrators can select, can define for your project. So you can choose from these modules, and we can disable them or enable them. And it could be also useful for reducing the price of the system, for making it competitive to other systems. If you have an offer for a cheaper system from another company, we can say, or we can take a look at what this other user interface is offering you, and then we can shrink down the web interface to the same, so that you get a competitive pricing. Because our web interface is really offering you a lot of possibilities, and we try to offer it for a fair price with the Software Assurance Plus or the cloud service. Yeah. As I said, also not entitled features will be hidden. So if you use the privileges, you can also hide some features, like for example template creation and so on. But we will come to that point later on. And we tried also to optimize the workflow you get out of it by reducing the number of menus, by giving you the possibility to directly add content at the points where you need it. So if you're in Publish, you have a small network, you won't create templates on forehand because there is no guy responsible for templates. You have no graphic designer. So you can directly go to Publish, click there on Add New Template or Add New Content, and then you're adding the content directly in the Publish, and you can publish. So there you have 3 steps, for example, to create media, or to add a media file and to publish it to your network if you want. So the user interface, and now we're getting to really our hands-on. Normally you need to register for Software Assurance Plus. We are working on a self-service. Currently it's not yet active, the self-service, so you need to apply for Software Assurance Plus access to the web interface. Best for applying to this is support@easescreen.com or office@easescreen.com, or your local sales partner. Contact them, and you will get your account for the web interface. Also, if you want to use it, if you want to have a demo system or demo account, evaluation account, contact support@easescreen.com or office@easescreen.com. After your account has been created, you will receive an email with the registration. So you can, your registration email with the password creation token. So you can create your password, you can then log in, and everything else is pre-created. So central settings regarding backend connection to the management server, which modules, all this stuff is pre-configured, pre-created. All this is all the backend stuff you normally do on if you have a management server, or if you have the old web interface, you have to do this yourself manually. This is all because of the cloud service pre-configured, pre-configured, yes, for your system. What you need to configure, and now we get to the system itself. You need to do the project settings. You need to import your clients, manage your clients, privilege groups, users. So I get here our web interface. As you see, I'm already logged into the web interface. This is our dev system. So it is not showing the design as we currently have it on demo and live systems, but this will be available for you in live system in a few weeks at least. So we're trying to publish X20 this month, and with X20 we will also refresh the design of the web interface. It's rather similar in the old design, but there are also differences to the old currently available design. So what we are going to do, we're going to configure our web interface. So we need to manage our system. As I said, we need to manage a few things, and we try to keep it as straightforward as possible. So what you want to do is you need to set up clients, so you manage clients, and then you do the import. So all your clients, all your POD clients are imported in the system. If I do this now, web interface will import clients from the management server. If you add new clients to your management server, which is on site, you need to click here on import. If you have your web interface through the software for Plus, those will be added through the product keys and through the backend automatically. Yeah, the clients. So you add the clients. After you have added the clients, you should add privilege groups. Regarding the privilege groups, we get later on also a bit more detail. So users which can be created by the project administrator itself. So if you have a web interface account, you can, and you're the maintainer of this project, you can create users to this project as you want. You can add your colleagues. You can give them the rights you want to give them to modify content, to publish content, or whatever you want. All this can be managed by yourself. But we can also, as super administrators, we can also create your user accounts. We can prepare your project for you if you give us the information pre-hand. We can prepare things in as we talk about them, as we define them. So administrators, project administrators can create user accounts, users themselves, but they don't really need to give those users privileges. So those privileges or user groups, they define what you are allowed to do. So privilege groups, what are you allowed to do? If I go back to my privilege groups here, I could create, for example, a user which is only allowed to edit campaigns, to edit templates in basic style. So this user can only replace elements in the templates. He cannot create his own templates. He cannot shift parts of the templates. Just edit or replace certain certain pictures, certain videos in the template as you allow it to this user. Again, combination of privilege group and user group. So you can add a user group to a certain part of the template, and then this user group is allowed to edit a certain part. If you then minimize it to edit template basic, and only replace, for example, the picture in a certain area. So there are possibilities to really create the users as you want to have them. You can also just simply create a user, an administrator user, who is allowed to do everything. So if we take a closer look at what's possible, we can go through, okay, this person is allowed to work with campaigns fully. This person is allowed to add clients, import clients, delete clients. Privilege management is also a separate privilege, so you can create also other project administrators. You can create user group management. You can also select this, tag management, templates. As you see, this user has advanced template editing possibilities and not basic. This is the toggle, so if I go here, it should toggle this. As you see, get certain features removed, automatically takes care about that features are consistent. User management, add users, delete users, and so on. User group management, client status. There are a lot of possibilities, as I said, to define exactly what people are allowed to do. This is the privilege management, and as we define what people are allowed to do, we need to also define where people are allowed to do this. So to do so, we have the user groups, and with the user groups, I can create new user groups, I can edit user groups. They can be also hierarchical, so I can have users only, or I can create a user group which is only allowed to work with content from or with which is in a hierarchical relation with another user group, or I can create a flat structure. It's also possible. I can select screens, but I don't need to. I can create also a user group for my content restrictions. So I don't need to select screens or screen groups or layers or user groups. So as I said, user groups are limiting where can I do stuff. This is not only where on which clients or in which layers, this is also in which part of the templates, for example. Or you can, with this, also create users that can upload media files, but nothing else, and other users which are allowed to shift those media files from the uploader group to another media group, because users can be in multiple user groups or in multiple privilege groups. So this is also possible, and with this, as I said, you can really highly adapt the user rights management of the web interface. This is one of the benefits, but you can also make it really simple, make it just damn stupid. You can give everybody administrator rights, select all screens as user group, and then everybody can do everything for a smaller project, maybe with 3 HTML5 clients and 1 enterprise client. You won't build up a large user rights management structure. You just go for keeping it simple, and this is also possible. Yeah. So as we have created our privilege group, we have imported our clients, we have created our privileges, we have created our user groups, and now we need to add users which are allowed to do this. So if I go to users, I should be able to find my user. Yeah, for example, here. I can now manage this user to have a certain privilege group in a certain project, I can also select a user group for this project. And I can also select in which projects this user has the possibility to work. So with these possibilities, I can, as integrator or a system admin or as a distributor, I can set up my own cloud and help my customers, help my integrators to manage their systems. I can dive into their projects, I can work there, help them, or I can support them with templates, for example. Because what you can do in those projects depends again on your privileges. So I could be in one project the system administrator, and in another project just the designer. So this is really once more the user rights are really flexible with only small borders where so you can really deploy on any system, fulfill really any requirements on user rights management in larger projects. But as I said, you can also go with basic user rights management where everybody's administrator, where everybody has access to all clients, like you do it in the screen manager. So if you have your clients, you have defined your privileges, you have defined your user groups, you have added your users, then you are good to go. So you configured everything your system needs. Project settings, normally also pre-configured as a set. Import clients, manage POV client properties. You can modify them, but you don't need to. You can define the privilege groups, users, and then you're good to go. So, as I said, we can start now with the content management. And the content management, where to start most likely is to start with the media files. So we are going to add now media files, and you can also add multiple media files. So if I go to my content, which is the button obviously here, I can add media files. But all those content possibilities, like media files, like templates, like campaigns, I don't need to go there to create this stuff. I can also go straightforward, publish, and add here new media files. I can add here new templates. I can add here campaigns without touching the content. So I don't need to go this way. But if I have a more complex system, I probably want to prepare stuff before I go to publish it. So if we go to media pool, we can add new media files. Click on add, plus here, and I can drag and drop my media files in here. As you see there you see the limitations in characters, you see the limitation in file formats, and you see the limitations for videos. This has a reason to create the thumbnails, to create the preview, which you have the possibility in the web interface. So you can work there with preview directly in the web interface. So I will go now for some media files. Media pool, and let's check out some media files. Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, this is probably already added. So let's have something here. Let's go maybe for this one. Okay. So I already selected the characters that won't work. Let's maybe try this one. Yes, this one is uploaded. I dragged and dropped it here in the drag and drop files area. It is already processed. I can define a title, a file name for it. Both will be stored in the system. It will be stored in the background with this file name, and the title will be used also to be later on or to extract later on, file this element to have it in the logs, to have it for simplicity here in the user interface. So what I can do now is I can define tags. Tags is also managed, so you can create new tags through manage here, up here in the right corner, but you can also, if you have created those tags already, you can select them here. Tags are quite important because in the web interface you cannot create folders till now. Therefore, we try to manage all the images, all the media stuff through tags. This helps because you can give one item, one media file, multiple tags, where on the other side you could just put the file in one folder. But we have heard of concerns regarding the missing folders, and we're working on giving you the possibility of ultra tags or mega tags, we call them, which are similar to folders. So you can use tags, special tags. You could use normal tags, and you could use those special tags to create folders and work. Again, if you're used to work with folder structure, you can work with it. But we're currently working on that. So at the moment, you need to stick to tags. You can select a user group for which this content is available. You can also leave this empty, leave also the layer restriction empty, and just go on. You can select that this media is only available till a certain date. So I can select, for example, currently we have the 13th, so I can select, for example, the 20th, and it's available from the 14th. So it's available starting tomorrow and available for 6 days. If you have, for example, bought the photo from an agency, from or from some company which is not where you have only limited rights for, you can select this here. So if I save this picture, it will be in there. As you see, it's not yet available. I can also filter what did I select? Landscape. As you see, it's limited down to my available landscapes, and I see here that it's not yet valid for its green. This was valid till the 6th of May, so it's got orange, and this has no limit. Those which are not longer available or which are not yet available are grayed out, so you see them and you can work with them, but you get also a very prominent hint, okay, this is not yet available, or this is no longer available for my system, for my content. You can also filter here for pictures. Won't make a difference. Yeah, there's this one, which is a video. So this one, it's also filtered. This is what I said. So tags are quite good to filter. Also, this automatic tags for the file type are quite good to filter down your files. You can also go here for a different view. There are also in a few other places the possibility to change the visualization of the web interface. This maybe is a better visualization for you, but you can also go for this visualization. Totally depends on your taste, how you want to make this web interface look like. So we added now our contents. You can also remove them, add multiple contents, add tags to multiple contents. This is also possible. And then we can create templates. As I said, templates can be reused. So there's a layout which can be created, which can be used multiple times, adapted also, and also I can limit templates to a certain, or it can limit templates so that only certain persons can use them, so that only certain persons can modify certain parts of the template. So if I want to create now a new template, I can again straightforward, go to publish, add their new template, and then work from that. Or I can go again to templates and start here creating a new template. So if I add a new template, I need to select the name for it. Let's go Webinar EN for English and select the resolution. This will immediately configure this template to be in a certain resolution, but I could also go to fit a certain layer, but I could also go for a custom resolution here. In this case, I want to limit it directly to this. I want to use this resolution, and I could also lock this for other layers. So I could select here, assign this template to this layer. So in other layers, it can't be used. For example, if you create a portrait template, you don't want people to use it in the landscape layers. Therefore, there is this possibility. In this case, I don't care about this. I start with my template, and you see now this is the template creator. I have my media files, my elements, my templates here. There is no sub-menu. I don't need to right-click here, create, and then go ahead. I just can take my picture and drag it in there. It's in there. It's already in the format. I can make it full screen like this. I can shift it over. And if a user has only the right to change this picture, he won't be able to drag and drop it in there. He can only replace it down here. So I can drag and drop this also down here to just replace this file. All the properties stay the same, so I can select here also, hey, I want this to be in original size. I want this to be full frame with aspect ratio, stretched. So in this case, I could also stretch it here to full size and fill this. You can select top left, so get the top left part, I get bottom right part, and that's how I can modify this. I can also again adapt this visualization here. If it's easier for me, or I'm working with a portrait template, I can convert this. Existing content from the from a management server can't be added to the web interface directly. What we did is you cannot not yet add content templates which you create with the screen manager to the web interface. So again, something we are working on. But what you can do, you can export and import templates and campaigns into the web interface. And we'll show you that possibility later on. But what you can do is you can combine combine screen manager and the web interface. So you can combine both user interfaces. Back to the templates. So I created here some screen. And I can add now also text or an RSS news sticker. Let's add just simply text. I can select from the fonts I have in my project. We could also add in the background project specific fonts. So you can add there the font, or we can add the font for you which you want to. Hello. So you see it's rather small. I can select a different font size, 60 for example, and then we have this. I can also select here in the animation type that it will be handled as news sticker, and then I can do a preview with the animation, with the style. In this case, it shows me the news sticker. It shows me my style I have here, my layout I have here, as it should be. And if we continue with this, I can select also here different user rights. As I said, the drag and drop replacement for basic users, you can enable this with its user groups. Or you can lock it down so nobody can add it. I cannot edit it. I cannot do anything. And within this layout, I can, like you know it from the screen manager, I can add a new layout. I can add a second template into this template. As you see, there is another template in this template. So I can use this to create templates for backgrounds, for master master templates for the background with my logo, with a clock in it and everything. And starting from this template, I can overlap it with other things in a new template. So there are so many possibilities in this template editor, in this layout editor you have here. And if I do a preview now, it will combine those two templates. It will show me those two things. You see there is also set order for all the elements. This also works. You can go for transparency and make this 50% transparent. You see it also, and do a preview. There are a lot of features from the Screen Manager are already, which you know from the Screen Manager, are already available in the web interface. Yeah. There is one more thing, campaigns, but we will get, these are lists of elements, but we will get to this later on. One more thing about templates or campaigns which are integrated there. You can also edit those integrated templates right away. You don't need to leave the template editor, open the other template, edit it there. You can edit it straight from here. I can click on edit, select the template, and then I will get right over to this template. The same is for playlists, same is for campaigns. So I'm quite fast again in editing this content. I could also create a local copy, so it will be completely independent. Otherwise, if somebody changes this used template here, it will also affect this template. So a lot of possibilities here, again, with the template editor. The other thing is the campaign editor. The campaign editor, you can add multiple files after one after the other, which are played one after the other, as I said. So if we save this template here, we can go to our campaigns. That will give you a short overview. Here you have also the dynamic campaigns where you just drop a tag, and this tag will be used to add all the elements to this playlist. So I could, for example, go for landscapes and give it a name, landscape campaign. Give it a resolution, yes. Add. And as you see, all landscape elements were automatically added to this campaign. I can also change this to a normal campaign, still keeps the elements which are in there. I can remove them. I can add now new elements. So dynamic campaigns is also not only good for fully automatic campaigns, it is also normally a good point to start to add multiple files into a list without any big workload, because you just select the tag, all the files get automatically added to it, and you're good to go. So you can add also, again, other templates, media files, campaigns to this campaign. The campaign can be also modified in the visualization again. So you can go for whatever style fits you the most. I personally prefer this style. So I have everything in the list. I have my central edit. So I can select this element. I can then edit this element. So I can select the transition, make this element, make this list, this element interactive, make it stretchable, or select the stretch I want to have it. For example, this picture here is a good example, full frame with aspect ratio, or stretch to frame size. You see it's moving, you see it in real time. You can again do a preview. You can do your duration limits. You can do all that directly in the campaign editor. And the next thing is, and this is probably more important, is the publish area. So the publish area gives you the possibility to send this created content to the POV clients. If I go to publish, I have now the possibility to select a certain layer on my POV client, and here I get also the screen manager. As you see, in the screen manager, I'm connected to the same management server. I have here the possibility to select one of those layers, layer number 2, layer number 3, layer number 4. The main layer is used for the power schedule, which is managed here. Switch off times and manage there the power schedule for your POV client. And the rest of the content gets into one of those content layers. So if I add, for example, now my picture, or this picture, I add this to the layer number 2, it gets automatically approved as I have with my user approval rights. If you don't have approval rights, it won't get approved automatically. This is again a thing to speed up the process of content creation, of content distribution. It also gets automatically added to the screen groups you select here. So as this element, as I hadn't selected the screen groups, it didn't get one here. You get the information the screen group is missing. If I select all clients and then another picture, maybe this one, it automatically gets added to this group. So this is again one thing to speed up your workflow. We really tried, this is one of our main goals with the web interface, to speed up your workflow, to minimize your workload, where you also get here as information, hey, resolution does not match this layer, because this layer requires full HD resolution. So in this case, I can ignore it, it's just a warning, and I can again select something like full frame with aspect ratio to fit again the design. If you click on there, you get the design, you get the full picture view to review it, or you can go again for preview. I need to filter it for one of my clients. Okay, I filtered for this one, preview. So I get a preview what will be running on this POV client. So you can also evaluate those rules you define here. Okay, in this case, I have approved this. I get also the info, hey, this is not yet published. I get this info here, and I get it also in my dashboard, which is the main part, which is the first entrance in your web interface. It's also information here. There is an element to be approved. There is this element. I can click here. I get straightforward to publish to this layer, to this element. This is, again, to speed up your workflow. And if I now publish this, it will publish it depending, again, on my rules I have here and on the rules I have here. So this has been published. If I select my screen manager in the background, you see this layer is currently empty, but we see this lock here. This means some other user has edited the content. If I reload it, I will see this media file has been published from the web interface. So this content has been published from the web interface to my POV client. So the web interface is working together with the management server. It reflects also into the screen manager. We see all this stuff here. And again, for publish, you can again change the view, the visualization to whatever fits you. So you can modify this. You can also select here. I can also add templates, for example, like we had before. We had our webinar EN. I can add this, and I can straightforward go to edit element, and then I get directly to this template as I have created it before. And save and approve, and then it's again added in my list in publish, approved, and I can publish it out into the wild. Let's say it like that. So the publishing is a quite powerful tool, and normally you can straightforward, if you have configured your system, You can go to publish and do everything from there, because I can also add new media files straight away. Select, drag and drop, plus new media file. I can add it here, and it will be added to my playlist here, and then publish. So 3 steps: add, edit it, approve it, and publish it. That's it. Can work with the publish area standalone. Don't need to touch the content. Therefore, we put it also in the submenu, so that that you are only seeing the buttons you really need to, and to speed up your workflow. So, a bit about monitoring, about backend. You have the possibility to monitor a whole system through different possibilities. You can do the client journal, which shows you all the things happening on your POV client. So if I go to system client journal, I get the whole journal of what's going on my management server. All the logs. Have some fake clients on this management server, which I'm connected to. So they are showing you this. The management server is not able to connect to. As I said, this is our development environment. So there are some fake clients, as I told you. And there is the client status. The client status is a customizable area again, which gives me the possibility to visualize all my clients I have access to. I can define which information I want to see. I can define filters, so I can filter for just a certain branch, just for a certain type of client, certain version or whatever. And then I can go forward and select, for example, this client. So I get more information about this client. Again, this is development environment, so the clients are not running currently. But I would see here the system log. I would see here the status information with a screenshot, and also additional information, what's going on this client. I can also get this information straight from the dashboard. So I can go into the dashboard, click on my locations, click on the client, and forward it right again to this client information screen. It is to this client details screen. So these are the possibilities in analyzing the client. You have also the possibility to analyze the content through reports. These are the content reports, and those content reports, they can also be totally customized. So if we take a closer look at the reports, we have here the possibility to add our main overview. I need to apply a filter for some time, which contains content. So I can go here for let's go for the 1st of January and add something, for example, PNG filter. I get the information which types of PNG have been played, how many times, how long. See, okay, this back PNG has been played 7 times, in total 9 minutes. With this, I get a fast overview about my system, about my content playback. But I could go also in more detail by selecting here the tabular visualization. I can select again some presets, which I could modify. I can select which information I want to visualize. I get now all the information. Okay, this picture has been played for 3 hours, 2,000 repeats, and 0 fails. And I can apply on this information, again, some filter. So I can filter this for content, for example, that has been, in this case, let's see what the filter is. This filter is just an empty filter. Okay. So therefore I get probably a new sorting, or was this filter for some certain media type? Okay. Let's go further on. You can export this as CSV, as XSLT. so it can be reused also in other tools. So with the web interface, as I said, in the beginning, you have a tool that starts from content creation and ends at content reporting. You can achieve every aspect, or you can do every aspect of the digital signage network with the web interface. There are some limitations in some areas regarding content, but there is a lot of possibilities, and you can still combine it with the screen manager when you struggle with the content possibilities. But I hope you have seen that there are a lot of possibilities regarding the content. So I'm now finished with my webinar regarding the web interface. There are the contacts which you can contact for additional information. There's a sales in Austria, sales international, and the CEO. They all will be able to provide you additional information regarding Software Assurance Plus if you're interested, and also additional information about the demo system, about how to buy the web interface. Also, they can tell you the rules to have the web interface on site. If you have any additional technical questions, just come back to support@easescreen.com or consider our guides at text.easescreen.com. I drop you the link once more to just a small reminder, text.easescreen.com. There you find additional information regarding the web interface, regarding the possibilities, and you will be able to later on review this presentation, this webinar, and also you will have the possibility to download the presentation. Okay, so for the moment, thank you for you attending our webinar. I will stop the recording, unmute you, and then you are able to start your questions if you haven't asked them yet. Or if you have the questions later on, just again, drop your email to support@easescreen.com and we will try to help you.